We are back. Welcome everybody. It is Offstage with the wonderful Jeffrey James today.
Hey.
As usual, I guess we're just going to start with why don't you tell us who you are, what you've been doing, and what you plan to be doing in the next few weeks, next few months.
Oh man. Hi, I'm Jeffrey James. First off, is this louder or not louder? I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
It
that's
is
louder.
That
louder.
is okay. It is on my mic. Good. I couldn't tell. Sometimes, for being a recording artist, I'm actually really shitty with technology sometimes, which is ironic. But yeah. So my name is Jeffrey James. I'm a singer-songwriter, performer, living in Nashville, Tennessee. Um, I release music and I write songs for other people and some songs for television and kind of juggle as many different things in the music industry as I can because I like creating art.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, let's jump right into it. One of my favorite songs that you've produced is "Beautiful Ones."
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think is just such an upbeat and fun song, and I think it kind of maybe plays to your personality. Where did you get some information or inspiration for that song, and what inspires a lot of your music and style?
That song specifically has a funny story because I appreciate that. I'm kind of a goofy guy, but sometimes my music is like historically been very like emotional or serious, and
Hmm.
so I was able to play up that side of me on that song. But I was actually driving down the car with my wife, and I was listening to I can't remember the artist, but it was this album that was newer, and it's Ben Rector. I don't know if you know who he is. But I was listening to his album, and it was just like fun, and it was like good car driving music, and I was like, man, I really want to make some music, um, some just happy music. And my wife didn't even like blink, and she turned to me and goes, "But you're not a happy person."
Oh, geez.
Jeez,
I was like, "God,"
that's
which she
brutal.
doesn't remember saying that, which is hilarious. But I kind of out of spite was like, you know what? I'm going to show you how happy I am.
Yeah, totally.
And so I went on this crusade. It just really inspired me to like, what if I could write some stuff that was meaningful to me and was feel good music? And so Beautiful Ones came out of kind of a group of songs from last year that I was chasing. And so that's why I love that song as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool story. Um, I'm really curious. You wrote a large chunk of EPs, singles, and albums in 2020 when COVID was taking over the world.
Yeah.
How did that affect your musical endeavors, specifically your writing and recording, especially in Nashville, big city?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it affected it a lot because I had um, my East London EP released at the beginning of that year, and I had made that record in London. I spent 2 months writing and recording in there. It was an amazing experience. And then I was also on a TV show, season 2 of Songland, that aired in April of that year. And like I knew both those things were coming out at the beginning of the year, so I kind of expected to like hit the ground running and like maybe do some touring and get out there a lot more after the show
Yeah.
airs. And obviously I couldn't do any of that. So I had to kind of reset, um, find the new normal, I guess. Luckily with like all this technology, all my songwriter friends and everyone in the music industry quickly learned how to write and record via satellite, basically.
Yeah.
In one way, it was a little more freeing because I could reach out to my friends in other countries and other states and be like, "Hey guys, you don't have to wait for me to come to you. We can just do this online right now." So like
Mhm.
in some ways it's a different creative experience because being in the room with someone is always better. The hang, the vibe, you can really feel off of people like that. And there's much more of a delay um, on you know on this kind of podcast form, if you will.
Right.
But it was really cool because there could be 3 or 4 of us all on a Zoom or whatever it was, and all recording at the same time. We're writing the song. One guy's working on the track. One guy's recording a guitar part. I just wrote some lyrics. I'm recording my lyrics, and then we're all putting them in a Google folder and sending them to each other. So it's like
Yeah.
it was really really creative. And once I figured that out, I was like, oh, let's do this. So I started to get. I think halfway through 2020, got as busy as I was with writing and recording as I had been any other year.
Sweet. Yeah,
Yeah.
adapt and overcome, right? I mean, I think that's what we all learned from that.
Yeah. It's either that or I did that and I binged every single television show I could find. So
There you go.
it's a good year.
There you
It's
go.
actually not a bad year for me.
So, how did that change your production going forward? Do you utilize those same techniques now, or have you
Yeah.
kind of reverted back to in-person studio stuff?
It's probably about 80% in person. But I just last week did a Zoom write with these two guys. I was in LA last month. Met these two newer to me producers, and I hit it off with them. And I couldn't get back to LA until maybe next month. And I was like, guys, I think we hit something. Let's try to do something else. And so the producer made a track, and I zoomed with the other top liner, and we just got to writing the song. I cut the vocals here in Nashville, and I emailed them to him. So it's cool. It's about 80-20 in person and online. It's really great.
Good to know. Very clean.
There's definitely
clean process.
value in doing it in person, but there's also the convenience of being able to do it whenever, wherever. So
Yeah, I'm lucky enough that for a while now I'm a full-time musician, so I have the, you know, a dedicated space to just do this thing.
Right.
So being able to just pick up this cheap microphone, sing into it, and then send it to someone. Literally, my song that came out last month, the DJs were in. It's a guy named Laurentis who's out of the Netherlands, and August Kidd, who I did a track with last year, also, who's in Italy. And for most of the recording process, they weren't even together. So they sent me a track they had made without meeting each other, and I've still never met them. We just WhatsApp all the time, and I sent them my top line, and so it's really cool. It's a different creative experience, but it's still very fulfilling.
Sweet.
now, do you prefer the creative process of like grinding it out and trying to get a song or an album together, or do you prefer like the live concerts and the live performances? What's
Man,
your favorite?
that's hard. I have found myself in the past, like maybe 5 years, doing more of the behind the scenes work.
Mhm.
I still release music, obviously, but I haven't toured as much. And I miss it, but I will say I can definitely be satisfied just as a writing and recording music, because like there's nothing like, I kind of say like you're like pulling a melody or a song out of the ether. It's like when you do it right, it feels like it was already there, just waiting for you to write it, which is like, I know it's kind of cheesy, but I really believe that. And there's kind of no other feeling like that. Performing live is wonderful, but you're also kind of just recreating something you already did when you're performing
Yeah.
live. Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned having DJs across the world, and I noticed that you do a handful of features across your albums and singles. So specifically, "What a Life," "Message in a Bottle." Like, I really appreciate that you adapt so much to your features. I mean, every
Thanks.
single one of your pieces of music is very diverse, and you cater to your features. But then you also have your own personality as well when you sing alone. So I was curious, how does that develop? Where did that come from?
That's a good question. I think I went to college here in Nashville, so I've been in Nashville for a long time, and it's a true like songwriters town. Versus if you're in LA, the cliche is that they're like track first. They're about the vibe and the energy of the track, which has its
Mhm.
merits, huge, and I love that for the right song. But in this town, it's all about like crafting the melody and the lyrics, because it came from it started as just a country music town, and now it's literally is every kind of genre you could think of here. But we all kind of got how we write music from that kind of country songwriter world. And I think in doing that, it lends itself to like collaboration a lot. So you're always writing with different people, and so you learn. At least for me, I had to learn how to be okay with being the guy in the room who's not the artist. And I realized I could have a very sustainable career doing that, where I can help other people, and you kind of step back and be like, okay, I know what I want to say, but like, what is this person trying to say? And I think
Okay.
I just started to like slowly create that way of like, oh, I can do a little bit of everything. Like, you said Message in the Bottle. Obviously, that's a cover.
Right.
And then the What a Life song with my friend Dave Ade. I knew what he does is this very like house clubby dance thing. So it was about finding, how does my voice sit in that, and not being like, okay, let's just do something I do, and then you put a dance
Right.
beat over it. So I think that's just how I've always approached any kind of collaboration.
Awesome. I mean, I think that's something really you should take pride in that, because that's a lot of producers and a lot of singer songwriters struggle with that. They'll overwhelm the songs, and not everybody can do it. So being able to read the room, especially in a studio, is impressive.
Thanks, man. I think being able to read the room anytime is a good
Yeah,
skill.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something you got to learn. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Is there would you say there's like a lesser known song in your discography that you feel like deserves more attention, maybe has like a cool story
Ooh.
behind it and the people don't know about it or something like that?
Oh man, now I'm thinking. Um, I mean, my favorite song that I love performing is the song "Slow Right Down," um, and I guess it's not that much lesser known. Maybe I always think it's done better than it is just because I love it so much. But it was actually written. It's on the East London EP, but it was written after I got back from East London. It was actually in LA, but with one of the producers from London happened to be in LA at the same time, and so we connected again, and I was like very overwhelmed with like I had just done this I mean, I basically did a 2-month writing retreat in like a city I'd never been in. I love big cities and new cities. I was in England, and came back and was trying to like catch my breath again.
Yeah.
And it's just like I hadn't reset my brain to where I was, and being back in America. And so that song was kind of my like therapy, my own
Yeah,
therapy session of like telling myself like, hey, it's okay to just like take a minute and breathe, think about what just happened. It was really cool. And now, collect yourself and move forward. Um, so that's why I love that song, and it showed off my voice in a way that I don't always do in songs. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Do you I mean, you just got back from a trip South America, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So travel's a big part of your music. Is that a source of inspiration most of the time? Is it for the collaboration piece? Talk a little bit about that.
That was, yeah. It's funny, for first half of my career, I wasn't good at like taking breaks. I was always like, oh man, I gotta hit it. I gotta grind. It's the music industry. If I stop for a bit, they're gonna pass me by, because there's always someone else waiting to take your place on the stage.
Right.
Um, but I got to give credit to my wife. She's the first one when we started dating to be like, hey, it's okay to like go on vacation. It's just going to be like initially a week or whatever. And she's actually from South Africa originally. And so they're used to taking like 9, 10, 12 days vacations. And so she slowly like didn't wear me down, but like got me okay with being like, this is actually the reason I'm doing this. And the more life I live, the more I have to sing and write about.
Yeah.
So this last trip wasn't even for music. I think I performed a little bit because I always find a way to perform if I can. But this was just like experiencing. I was in Aruba, Colombia, and Panama, and I'd never been to any of those places. And just anytime I go somewhere new, get you out of your comfort zone, I come back so refreshed and fulfilled, and just ready to like create
Yeah.
whatever's come out of me. Yeah.
Did you happen to perform in Aruba? I was just there.
I was for part of it, I was on a boat and I performed on the boat. So it was in the
Okay.
ocean. Yeah.
Gotcha.
How was
Yeah.
that? That sounds awesome.
You know what? It was great, except for it was kind of wild because when we performed, it was on in like the middle of the boat on the top, and the waves were wild. So I was watching, I was on the facing the back of the boat, and all the people were facing the front of the boat. And I was watching the boat just do like raise like 90 feet in the air and then go back down
Wow.
slowly. So I was like, just don't fall over. Don't fall over. Don't fall. It was wild. It was a cool experience, man. It was
Yeah,
a
that's cool.
memory for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's a cool message for most people, the more you explore anything, whether it's traveling or other experiences, the more you have to talk about, more to write about, more to enjoy. So,
Yeah, I mean, nothing bad comes from like broadening your horizons and doing things you haven't done before. Like only good things come to you internally. I mean, maybe you'll break an arm or something, but like that could be bad. But but like emotionally and mentally, it always adds to your life. Yeah.
totally. So,
Um, oh,
Christmas for mom. I'm curious. Was that actually written directly for your mom? Like, was it a Christmas present or?
The yes,
Okay.
it's a covers acoustic a kind of acoustic covers. My dad reached out to me, I guess it's 2 years now, and asked if I would make this as a present from him to my
Okay.
mom.
Okay.
And I think it was actually his way. I'd never really done much Christmas stuff. I think it was his way of secretly getting me to make a Christmas album that they always wanted me to make. But
Gotcha.
yeah. So that was a fun experience. Just because I don't often do Christmas covers or that kind of stuff, and
Right.
that was just a fun thing. And I actually printed. There's only 2 vinyls of that record, and my parents have one, and I have one, so that was cool. Also,
Yeah, that's really special.
yeah,
Cool
yeah,
story.
yeah. Thanks.
Sorry to cut you off, Scott. What were you going to say?
oh no, I was just gonna ask. So your music sort of, it seems like it's constantly evolving. We talked about like with the different artists you collaborate with and how you always adapt your sound to somewhat match, or I guess like pair with them. Um, how do you see your music evolving over time? Like, are there any like sounds or techniques you want to experiment with, or?
Yeah, it definitely has changed. I'm always excited to try new things because, like I said, I'm kind of a um, uh, bendable. I can't think of the word, but like so many different ways I like to sing. Like, so I'm working on a new project right now um, that I'm figuring out what I want to do with it. It might be a whole side project where I'm basically. Do you know the band? Like, it's kind of in a like MGMT meets jungle um, meets like gorillas kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it's a lot more like just doing falsetto, very funky stuff, a lot of like 70s disco influences. Um, so I've got that project going on. I've got another Jeffrey James track coming out soon. And with that, I've been kind of my Jeffrey James stuff, kind of chasing like a bit of a 90s like UK rock vibe.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
funny, I don't know why I start chasing the directions I do. But with that, I just had been listening to a bunch of different bands and like some older Fatboy Slim and Robbie Williams, and I was just like, this is kind of cool. Like I could do something like this,
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
which it's not even like I'd probably be better off if I actually like chase stuff that I think the fans want, but I'm always just chasing my own like where
Oh,
the
yeah.
art is taking me for
Yeah.
better or for worse. But yeah, so I got a song coming out April 5th. Depending on when this airs, it'll either be out or be coming out. Called Day by Day, and it's not quite that 90s vibe, but it's a lot more kind of um, it's got a indie rock edge to it, a little more like band feel,
Okay.
while also having a bunch of like choir, gang vocal stuff, which I love. I love harmonies and I love choirs. Anytime I can put like a big like gang vocal in my songs, I will do that.
Oh, that sounds good. Indie rock's really picking up, I think.
I
You
think
know,
so, man. Yeah,
a lot of there's an underground band scene here at Purdue, and a
sure.
lot of the bands here are indie rock. And then I love the operatic choirs behind music. So that'll be really cool to hear.
Yeah, man. I'm a unashamedly a choir kid at my core, so I'm always like, all right, how can I put a giant choir behind me? And then I do that.
Perfect. There
Yeah.
you go.
Um, if you could create music in this like completely new genre, what would it sound like? And what sort of messages would you convey?
Oh man, in a new genre, uh, I have no idea. I maybe like some kind of weird jazz reggae combo. If we're just like going out there in like a weird
Yeah.
world.
Okay.
Uh, sure. I actually love jazz music a lot. I studied that in college, and so if there was like a world of combining jazz and the pop world a little more, I would love to do that. There's a guy, Gregory Porter, who's been used by the band Disclosure a bunch. Is it Disclosure? Yeah, the DJ group. Um,
Okay.
and yeah. I'm off track now, but that would be sure. That would.
We've had
That's
a lot of,
definitely interesting. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a very diverse group of music. We've had a lot of people come on and talk about jazz and how they've studied jazz and
Mm.
how they put it in their music. And it's
Mm.
so, I think it's really cool because and I've talked about this every time. So Scott's probably getting tired of it, but jazz, you can make mistakes, but they're not really mistakes. They're purposeful, like experiences and experiments within music. And there's an energy that flows and pushes and pulls and really cool to watch and bands. And I don't know. I think that's really cool to integrate it into pop and rock kind of music. Have you watched the new Bob Marley movie, by the way?
No, is it out? I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it is out. I was curious what you thought since you mentioned reggae.
Yeah. No, I don't have a huge not like a diehard reggae fan. I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, I've been lucky enough to write for a couple reggae bands with a couple reggae bands for them, and so it's just a weird world that I'm never a part of. And I was like, oh, if I could do that, what would that sound like? It'd probably just become like ska or something. But yeah, no, I think jazz. If you go far enough back in pop music, that was the pop music of the day, and so I think
Right.
it's like it's in us intrinsically that it's all there in the back of our minds. And some of the best producers I know are all like classically trained musicians. It's like you learn the really difficult skills and then you can translate that to the simplicity of pop.
Exactly. So, who are some of your favorite bands? Maybe growing up, maybe currently. You've done some covers of Foo Fighters and The
Mhm.
Police, which I really liked Everlong's cover as well.
Thanks,
That was
man.
fun.
I was that was another one I did in London actually.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote that song and oh, what was the other one? One and the same in the same session. We'd finished
Okay.
one and the same. Then I was like, I've got this idea for a cover, and we sat down and Dan McDougall was the guy who produced that. But yeah, I mean, growing up was kind of like initially my parents, the music my parents listened to was like the Beatles and Chicago and the Doobie Brothers.
Okay.
There was a Temptations greatest hits like CD that was perpetually in my parents' van,
Mhm.
growing up as a kid. And so I have all those songs memorized. But then when I discovered my own music that I loved, like in college, it was like became Janelle Monáe and the Talking Heads. Was a huge Bill Withers fan. Bill Withers is like
Mm.
Okay.
from a songwriting standpoint and just a performance. It's all so simple and just like in the pocket and it feels right no matter what he's singing about, man. It's really cool. Um, but then now I'm kind of still I guess those are all over the place too. But on the indie rock side, there's two groups called the Beths and then the Beaches, who I think are really, really dope. The Beths are out of New Zealand and really cool. Also kind of got a 90s-esque rock band vibe, but really, really good songwriting. Like really one of the best lyricists I think out there right now.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to hear the inspiration. Like who influenced you. So
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
Do you have a
Where
favorite like concert you've been to? Like just on the track of being a music fan?
Yeah. Let's see. Man, because of 2020, I haven't seen a bunch of concerts recently.
Mm.
But I got to. It's going to sound like a bragging thing. I got this like after. Yeah, there's no way of saying this without sounding like a douchebag. But
Okay.
it was when Mumford and Sons were kind of at their peak with that big album. They played a show at like the Ryman or something here in Nashville, and then we found out they were doing a secret concert at this. I can't think of the venue name right now, but it's basically a bluegrass venue, and it only holds like 90 people, maybe 50 people. I don't even know. And it ended up being them, Dierks Bentley, and Old Crow Medicine Show just jamming on stage together, doing like classic folk and bluegrass stuff and their own songs for like 2 hours. And that was one of the coolest shows, because like all of them, Mumford and Sons were massive. Dierks Bentley was massive at the time. And like they all had like no pride in it. They just all wanted to jam, and they wanted to just like enjoy everybody's time. And they'd already played a whole other show. So that was one of the coolest concerts I've probably been to.
Sweet.
Damn.
That reminds me of a story. Scott and I have talked about it. Queen and David Bowie, how they made Under Pressure. They were recording in the same studio, and they just happened to, David Bowie was walking by, heard some cool music, and just wanted to play. And then they ended up making Under Pressure, which was really cool.
Dude,
So,
I love that story. It just goes to show you, like, people who love to make art just want to make art. If you're also good, then you're like, okay, let's work together, man.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Sweet. Where did you end up writing your new song on your past trip, or has that been in the process for a while?
No, I wrote this new song last year. I've always
Okay.
got a handful of songs that I've written and recorded and mastered that I'm just waiting for the right time to release.
Totally.
But yeah, usually it's like by the time I write a song to when I release it, it's anywhere from like 6 months to a year before it comes out.
Okay. How do you pick a release date? What goes through your head? Is there just a feeling?
A little bit of a feeling. You're timing it up with, is it the right song for a summer thing, or is it the right song for a winter thing? And then I've been lucky enough to have, as you mentioned, a handful of DJ tracks that I've also written on. And, you're just figuring out when those are releasing and when's the best time to release the next one to keep the momentum going. Yeah, just a couple of things. They all become arbitrary, just overthinking everything as usual.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, right?
Absolutely.
Where'd some of that inspiration come from?
For the new song?
Yeah.
But the song Day by Day, again, I was kind of chasing this like more indie rock vibe, and then just for whatever reason that day I was just thinking about my current relationship and like where we started and where it could go, because I was just feeling like about being positive. And I think in any relationship, even great relationships, you start kind of not rocky, but like, of course you have like the honeymoon period and then things are great.
Yeah.
Then once you try to get real serious, like it's two people trying to figure out like where they fit in the jigsaw puzzle, and that doesn't always work perfectly. And so just a song about that, about like started rough, not rough, but like started like figuring things out, just kids trying to live our lives. And now it's cool. Just basically the song's about the progression of a relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just celebrated your anniversary, correct?
We did. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Seems like your relationship really plays in your music, which is also really just inspiring and special. So
thanks. Yeah, I love it. She's been made a huge impact in my life and my career. I mean, she's just she's not in the music industry, but has found ways to really help me whenever she can, and has been my motivator. And yeah, it's a great life partner, man. Yeah.
Awesome. Congrats.
Thanks.
She's also calling you out for not being a positive person. But I guess that ended up helping.
Keeping it real.
You need the people to call you out, man. That's the real thing. Yeah.
There you go.
So Nashville, it's the home of the new country and the old country, and I guess I was kind of wondering what your opinions are on this sort of pop country that we have nowadays, like the Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs. Do you think it's quality music, or do you think it's just sort of the same formula and just a different font or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best guy to talk about this because I kind of, funny enough, I kind of avoid most country music. It's just not really my thing. I don't write it. I have lots of friends who work in it, obviously being in Nashville. But I just don't. That's not really something I listen to that much. But you know, like I know I have friends who wrote a bunch of the Luke Combs stuff, and so I know those guys are great songwriters. I think that stuff is just becoming more and more like pop music, you know, because we're able these days, I think, in the positive way, to have the Morgan Wallens and to have the Zach Bryans at the same time,
Right.
you know, and the Tyler Childers and the Luke Combs. So I think it's an interesting time for country music where I hope, and it seems like the genre is forcing artists are forcing the like industry to kind of open up and not just be one sound. Even though I know on the radio it's probably all the same 10 songs, but you know that's the same at this point for pop radio if you're listening to the radio. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't judge it too much. You know, music's all taste, right? It's just what you want to listen to.
Very true.
Yeah. So I get the more I've been in the music industry, it's been harder and harder to judge other people's music just because, you know, the stuff I hate, but that's all for my personal taste, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's different.
Yeah, man.
It's a interesting perspective also to hear like a songwriters that songwrite for artists that sing and how that relationship works. How does that work? Like, um, I'm not sure you've exactly written songs for, but what is it a weird relationship? Is it a really good one? Are there people you work better with, work less better
Yeah,
with?
no, I take it the same way. Like I said, I take any other, you know, working with a DJ or writing stuff for myself or, you know, it's just the same thing. You realize that you're not you're not the voice in the room. You're just trying to like
Okay.
add to it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, at least how I do it, you really got to rely on like, I'll make a suggestion, and if the artist doesn't like it, yeah, I might like push back a little bit, be like, okay, can you tell me why, whatever. And then if they're like, blah, blah, I'm like, cool, let's move on. Like, what do you
Yeah.
want to, what do you want to say? You're the one who's got to be singing this for the rest of your life. So I love that. It's just like moving, you know, it's flexing a different muscle, artistically. And yeah, I haven't written it for any like, and you know, for any artists that are all like big Billboard artists, but I write a lot for other artists, who make a good living. Like I said, some like kind of all over the place with the DJs or with, you know, there's some like reggae punk bands I've written for. There's a bunch of singer songwriters and pop people in town,
Okay.
and I love it because each genre and each world is its own little universe, and you get to write something that you never would have written for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. You just don't hear about that very often, so it's
Yeah,
nice to have a look into it.
yeah, man. There's a lot of us. I mean, that's what Nashville and LA. Most of 80% of the music industry on the creative side is just people writing for other artists, you know, and it's all just
Okay.
it's all just collaboration. We'll do anything we can to be in a room to make music.
Another aspect of
That's beautiful.
sorry, Scott, what'd you say?
I was just saying that's beautiful. The
Thank
whole
you.
collaboration thing. Sorry, keep going.
Totally. No, another huge part of your creative journey is going to be album covers, photography, photo shoots, getting your music connected with visual for people to see. How does that work? And do you have fun with it? Do you dread it? Some people hate photography and photo shoots, so I'm just curious what you have to say.
Yeah, no, on the maybe because I'm you know a little bit of a diva. I've never had a problem with photo shoots, but yeah, I like that. I think it starts with dread when you're at a blank slate of like, oh wait, what, I got to make something new now or new music video. But then
Yeah.
like that's another part of the creative process, you know. Just and now I think with social media being the way it is, it's kind of freeing that you can just you can make like little short music videos. You don't have to do a full song music video. And the more I've done it, the more I'm like, let's just get weird with it. What haven't I done? Like for my retrograde music video, I literally bought this little 360 camera, and I got a head strap, and I strapped it to my head and was riding around Hermosa Beach in California on a bicycle, singing the song, looking like a freaking idiot with this like
Yeah.
camera on my head, just because I was like, I saw a guy on TikTok who who did that watching trains. I don't know if you've seen the British guy.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
I love that guy.
I saw that and I was like, how does he do that? So I looked up how he was doing that. And I basically did that whole same thing, like walking around and riding a bicycle around. And I look absolutely ridiculous. And it was
Yeah.
just like, why not? It's fun. Let's get weird with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool to know that too. Because Retrograde was another one of my favorite songs you've produced. So
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. That was filmed mostly was staying at a friend's house in Hermosa Beach, which is a dope place. And I was like, well, I'm here. It's going to be sunny every day. I might as well like film a bunch of weird stuff, which is kind of what my music videos have now all gone to, is just like, what's weird things that I can film. But I love that stuff. And there's so many videos I love that I've done that, like my song Small Talk, it's the first one I've done where there's like two dancers in it, and I'm barely in the music video at all. And I had a very specific type of dance that I wanted, so I found some people in Nashville who could do that. And then artistically, when Day by Day comes out, you'll see it's a bit of a different album cover, album artwork than I've done before. But I kind of, once I know I have a song coming out, I just start listening to other songs that I think are in the same world and just getting inspirations from their artwork. And, you kind of just like pull. It's like songwriting. You're kind of always pulling from your inspirations, you know? You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. What if I did that? What if it's this? And what does the song make me feel? And then I try to make the album artwork. I don't make it myself, but I'm usually working with someone else describing like how I want it to feel when you're listening to the song.
Okay. Huh. That's really cool. Everything's collaboration, which is awesome.
It really is, man. Yeah.
When you're creating a song, I've meant to ask other people we've interviewed this, and I just haven't had the chance. How do you know when it's done? Or do you ever? Because like I always feel like there's like little things that you want to like you fine tune, and you get so hyper fixated. Do you like
Sure.
really know if it's ever done?
Yeah. If we're talking about like the writing and recording of it, like a full like recorded thing, right?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I was working out this morning and a producer just sent me, version 5 of this new song that we've been working on, and I had little tweaks of like mix edits and things that you could do that till you die, and you could be working on a song and change it. I think for me, I just try to like step away from it for a second and think big picture, and don't think about like, oh, this could be EQ'd up this way. Just like, does the song feel good when I'm listening to it? And if like nothing is sticking out when you're listening to it, and it just feels like a thing, then I'm like, okay, that's what the song is. That's what it needs to be right now.
That's probably the best way to go about it. I mean, otherwise you just drive yourself insane trying to.
Yeah. And it's, again, that's another thing. It's also taste, because you can mix a song. You could have all the same guitar, drum, bass, synth, and voice on in the same session, and 10 different mixers or producers would make it sound 10 different ways. So it's all just, you have to trust your own instincts kind of at that point, and hope that other people like your instincts.
Yeah. So where can the people find you? Where can they come find your music? Find you live?
You could stream Jeffrey James on any streaming platform. Jeffrey James Official is my Instagram. I am Jeffrey James is my TikTok. Then jeffreyjames.com is all things Jeffrey James. And I've said the name Jeffrey James a million times now, so I'm going to stop.
Sweet. And then to finish off, what is one message you would want to leave with people watching, or with anybody?
Oh, one message about anything?
Yeah. What's your message?
Oh, man. When in doubt, be the person in the room that people want to be around. Sure.
Good one.
There you go.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah. I think it works for
like
collaboration like we've been talking to, but it also works on just a life, man. I never want to be the person who people are like, why? That guy, man. Shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be
totally.
that guy. Don't be that guy.
If everybody thought that way, the world will be a much better place. So
also, real quick, Lee, do we have the exact same headphones and microphone?
We do. Yes.
Yeah. It's cool.
They're great headphones and they're great microphone. Do you have the Focusrite?
No,
little
I'm
box?
rocking out of a Apollo Twin over here.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
a little bit bigger there. Yeah.
Well, I
So
gotta
you're making
do.
music.
I use it for recording. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Appreciate it, guys.
this
Thanks.
is
Yeah.
Jeffrey James, and we're Offstage. Thank you very much.